Coach, just talk about how your season's going so far and what you
Good.
kind of expectations are.
So far, really proud of the way the girls have competed. Opening weekend last weekend down in Stetson, we had a couple injuries to a couple of our key players, but luckily we've got some really good depth on the roster this year. I was able to take a kid who was, fighting to even be in the starting lineup, had to plug her into the ones, Alyssa Scoggins, and she was able to get a couple wins. So that just kind of shows you the depth that we have on the season on the roster this year. Another injury, had to plug in a freshman from Vero Beach, Florida. She was able to pull out a couple of wins. As far as the way the season started, I think we're off on a good foot. I mean, we didn't get our first win until the 5th weekend last year, and like you said, we've already got 3. We took JU down twice this weekend, and they kind of had our number last year. So that being said, we're off on a good start. We've got the talent, the ability to beat just about anybody. It's just getting them out there on the sand and getting them to execute at the level that they're capable of.
Coach, something I recently asked the lacrosse coaches that came in here, I think there's a couple similarities. When you think of Macon, you don't necessarily think of beach volleyball, but what is it like recruiting that sport in this part of the state? I know you mentioned players from Florida, maybe some from California.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a recruiting difficulty. We are thankfully only one of 2 Division I programs in the entire state of Georgia. So the kids that are from Georgia that have good grades and they're able to get some good academic money, that helps quite a bit. But we have been able to branch out our recruiting arm a little bit. We've got kids from Texas, we got kids from Colorado, Virginia, Florida. So we are able to start drawing in some better talent. So the better the program does, the more of an incentive it is for some of these higher level kids that want to come here and play. So
when it comes to building a program, I know it's a program that's had some success historically. When it comes to building that consistency and the expectation of winning conference titles year after year, what does that process look like for you? I'm sure it begins with recruiting, but what does that build?
yeah, I mean, I recruit heavily on the culture piece. I mean, you could have one of the best kids in the world from an athletic standpoint, but if they're not going to fit in from a culture piece, then it's really a moot point. So I recruit heavily to make sure the kids are going to fit in and be part of the family that we've kind of fostered and established here. And then as far as competing for conference tournament, I mean, we recently got moved from the Atlantic Sun to the Sun Belt Conference. We match up way better against the competition than the Sun Belt. So from a long-term goal, I mean, we could conceivably be competing for the conference title in 1 to 2 years from now, as long as the kids keep evolving like they're capable of. So we're excited about it.
Last thing from me, when you look at this team specifically, I know you mentioned having to plug in a couple freshmen with injuries. Is there anything in particular that really excites you about this team and what this group is capable of doing?
So 3 years ago, I had a really, really big freshman class. I had 11 freshmen come in. So those kids are all juniors now. So just seeing the evolution that they've made coming in is a lot of them had 0 to little beach experience as freshmen, to see where they are now, where they're competing against LSU, South Carolina, Florida State, some top 20 programs in the nation. They're extending those games to extra innings, losing 23-21, losing 22-20. Just to see their growth as not only beach volleyball athletes but as people, that's what it's all about, and it's been really exciting.
Josh, how would you assess the field of teams that are coming in here for your tournament March 15th and 16th?
So some guidance from administration. I maybe made the schedule a little bit easier on the front end this year. So based off of that, the teams we have coming on the 15th and 16th, it should be a very, very successful weekend for us.